one for Jared. So,
Good for you.
Good.
so you'll be happy. It's official now.
Okay. You're up.
All right, good morning. I'll call the meeting to order. My name is Don Taylor. I'm the county board chair. I will run the meeting up until the elections, which is very quick, and then the chair will take over. I find the notice was posted in accordance with Wisconsin statute. I am open for election of chair of the land use committee.
Nominate Craig Conroy.
Nominate the Greg. Are there any other nominations? There being none, I would look for a motion to close nominations and cast a unanimous ballot.
So move.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carried.
Well, thank you, I think.
Okay, vice chair. Any nominations for vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Karen Lockwell Anderson.
Karen Lockwood Anderson. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, is there a motion to close nominations and cast a unanimous ballot?
Motion to close.
Second.
Randy, second by Charlie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Gary, secretary of the committee,
Nominate Chuck Anderson.
nomination for Chuck. Are there any other nominations?
I nominate Brent Blomberg.
Well, like last time around, I would be more than happy to let Chuck do the duties.
Okay.
I will respectfully decline.
Respectively declined, so we have Mr. Anderson. Are there any others? If not, once again, I'll accept the motion to close nominations and cast a unanimous ballot.
I make a motion to close nominations and cast a unanimous ballot for secretary.
Motion by Karen, second by Brent. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Mr. Chair, it's your meeting.
You don't want to stay for the fun part, huh?
Nope, I've done that.
Okay,
I've served on this committee.
Mhm.
It's not really. Not.
and we'll proceed. And now is a portion of the meeting for public comments. If there is anyone here wishing to comment on any item other than those on the public hearing, at which time you'll be able to testify to that. So is there anyone here with any other public comments? Hearing none, we'll go on. Motion to approve the agenda order.
Make a motion to approve the agenda order.
A motion by Dean Moyer. Is there a second? Second by Chuck Anderson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Minutes of the April 7th, 2026 meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve by Supervisor Blomberg.
I'll second.
Second, Supervisor Moyer. I have a question, more than a comment, but if my memory is accurate, and we get towards the end of the minutes, we had a discussion of potential changes to the ordinance, chapter 30. Then we have land services information division reports, but then we have Mark Krause further discussing the floodplain stuff. I thought we did that as part of the ordinance amendments rather than in the division reports, but I don't remember for sure. Doesn't really matter. It wasn't an action item, but anybody have any remembrance of
Was that
that?
after adjournment? I couldn't
No,
remember.
no, that was, Mark talked about it in the public comments, but we only could give him 3 minutes.
Okay.
And the issues were broad about how our ordinance, floodplain ordinance applies. So I thought I told him we'd take it back up in that portion of ordinance amendments. So it only would be switching the paragraph up one to consolidate it. You know what I mean? That makes sense?
Into that, see where it's
Yeah, kind of,
making corrections.
if I'm right,
Okay.
move it, and if I'm wrong, just ignore it. But anyway, it is an issue, that I'm not sure what the recourse is because of the interpretation of what is a floodplain and a flood fringe, you may remember. But it's significant as how we regulate floodplain section of the ordinance. It wasn't a specific agenda item, so it's more information than anything else. So, okay, move on to public hearing. Jason, you want to?
Why do we need to
Got it.
approve those?
I'm sorry, yeah. Okay, yeah, thank you. Motion to approve the minutes as amended if necessary
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
by Supervisor Blumberg, second by Supervisor Moyer. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Now the public hearing.
Notice of public hearing, State of Wisconsin, County of Burnett, Tuesday, May 5th, 2026 at 9 a.m. at the Burnett County Government Center, room 165, Town of Menan, Siren, Wisconsin. Regarding the following Burnett County Land Use Shoreline Protection Ordinances, number 1, map amendment MAP 2604 Web Lake Land and Cattle Company LLC to rezone the parcel with tax ID 32644. That part of government lot 5 lying north of the town road, except the west 330 feet thereof, section 9, town 41 north, range 14 west, located in the town of Web Lake from RR1 residential recreation to RR2 residential recreation zoning district. Zoning change requested by Steve Austin on behalf of Web Lake Land and Cattle Company LLC. Number 2, conditional use permit CUP 2603 Northwest Passage Limited. Public notice hereby given to all persons in the town of Menan, Burnett County, Wisconsin, that Mark Elliott on behalf of Northwest Passage Limited has made an application for a conditional use permit for the terms of the Burnett County Land Use and Shoreline Protection Code of Ordinances to operate an outdoor farmers market on Fridays during the months of May through September on the parcel located at 7417 North Bass Lake Road in the C1 zoning district, lot 3, CSM, volume 6, page 242, located in the northeast quarter of the northeast quarter, section 20, town 39 north, range 16 west. Number 3, conditional use permit CUP 2604 Stelrite. Public notice hereby given to all persons in the town of Russ, Burnett County, Wisconsin, that Dan Stelrite has made an application for a conditional use permit per the terms of the Burnett County Land Use and Shoreline Protection Code of Ordinances to continue to operate a gravel pit on the parcels with tax IDs 16227 and 16231 being located along Rolling Green Road in the A2 zoning district located in the southeast quarter, the southwest quarter, and the southwest quarter of the southeast quarter, section 27, town 39 north, range 14 west. Number 4, a conditional use permit CUP 2605 Split Stozer Management LLC. Public notice hereby given to all persons in the town of Siren, Burnett County, Wisconsin, that Scott Peckman from Stars and Stripes Fireworks LLC on behalf of Split Stower Management LLC has made an application for a conditional use permit for the terms of the Burnett County Land Use and Shoreline Protection Code of Ordinances to operate an outdoor fireworks stand during the months of June and July on the parcel located at 24644 State Road 3570 in the C1 zoning district, lot 1, CSM, volume 13, page 86, except the highway right of way located in government lot 10, section 5, town 38 north, range 16 west. Number 5, conditional use permit CUP 2606 R&J Real Estate Enterprises LLC. Public notice hereby given to all persons in the town of Swiss, Burnett County, Wisconsin, that Scott Peckman from Stars and Stripes Fireworks LLC on behalf of R&J Real Estate Enterprises LLC has made an application for a conditional use permit for the terms of Burnett County Land Use and Shoreline Protection Code of Ordinances to operate an outdoor fireworks stand during the months of June and July on the parcel located at 7413 7421 Main Street in the C1 zoning district, lot 2, CSM, volume 27, page 91, located in the southeast quarter, the northeast quarter, section 28, town 41 north, range 16 west. Number 6, conditional use permit CUP 2607 Gene LLC. Public notice hereby given to all persons in the town of Siren, Burnett County, Wisconsin, that Andrew Hirsch on behalf of Gene LLC has made an application for a conditional use permit for the terms of the Burnett County Land Use and Shoreline Protection Code of Ordinances to build an indoor and outdoor storage facility consisting of multiple buildings over the next 3 years on the parcel located at 7555 Laverne Road in the C1 zoning district, lot 1, CSM, volume 29, page 169, located in government lot 10, section 5, town 38 north, range 16 west. Additionally, the stormwater pond for the facility will be located on the parcel with tax ID 36770 in the RR3 zoning district, lot 1, CSM, volume 30, page 238, located in government lots 10 and 11, section 5, town 38 north, range 16 west.
That's it,
Got my reading done for the day.
for sure. So we'll start with obviously, Public Land and Cattle Company. Steve, you want to come forward? We already did this more or less, but go ahead and bring us up to date.
Steve Austin with Web Lake Land and Cattle. We been approved tentatively for some storage units, but we discovered that we didn't have the right RR listing. Is that correct, Craig?
Right, it is simply that what you need to do there needed to be rezoned.
Mm.
And we went ahead, often we do them at the same meeting.
Right.
But we weren't able to arrange that, so we proceeded with the CUP. But now and we're fine with that. It's approved, conditional on rezoning being changed. Ordinarily, just for our new member, we would rezone first, then do the conditional use permit. And the ordinance used to allow it in that RR1 district, but that was changed and it was applied for without being in the correct district. So we're just cleaning that up. We had all winter to do it and we waited till now, right?
Well,
I'm kidding.
Jason reminded me I forgot to turn the form in.
That's about it. So
The town had approved it, but I forgot the forward part.
it happens routinely, so don't worry about that. But anyway, so that's where we are for this today. So now that's enough of a presentation for now. Should we need to call you back up, we will.
Okay.
So I'll open the public hearing on this matter for the rezoning of that parcel from RR1 to RR2. Is there anyone here or online to comment on that?
There's nobody online.
No, it's not controversial. No reason to think it would be. So with that, I'll close the public hearing and then open it for committee discussion.
It appears that the town board agrees and approves it.
Right, and we had gone through this extensively at the conditional use permit last fall or early winter, whenever we did that. So we pretty much, this is just mainly something that would have been done at the same meeting, but couldn't be at the time. So, any further discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve map 2604.
Second by Brent.
Second,
A motion.
with the staff recommendation, follow all local, county, state and federal requirements for this activity. Is that part of the motion?
Well, there's really no activity, so I didn't include it. The rezone,
No, it's sort of boilerplate for us, though.
including condition number 1.
Yeah, we already approved it with the conditions of the conditional use.
And that's a recommendation to county board for approval,
Right,
Correct.
since it's a rezone. So
so I was just getting caught up on that. So,
Anything we're leaving out?
no, it's just the standard boilerplate thing we attach to every approval. Hearing none, no further discussion. We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Supervisor Lindberg,
In favor.
Supervisor Moyer,
Yes.
Supervisor Samansky,
Yes.
Supervisor Blomberg,
Yes.
Supervisor Chuck Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Karen Lacqua Anderson,
Yes,
Supervisor Conroy, yes. Motion's carried. Recommend a change to the next county board. So there you are, you're done for the day.
Thank you.
Next conditional use permit, CUP 2603 Northwest Passage for the outdoor farmers market. Move forward.
I'm Mark Elliott from the Passage. Hoping to answer any questions you might have regarding our outdoor farmers market that we hoping to run through. We did it last year for a little bit. Got word that this is bigger than a lemonade stand. That want to do so. We're here hoping we can get the conditional use permit going forward. And one thing just to add that one of the things as part of our strategic planning at Northwest Passage, we've really been focusing on community engagement, and this was kind of part of that. So we grew from a lemonade stand to actually a farmer's market, and it's been a pretty good response for vendors. And we don't charge anything. It's really about just connecting with people and getting them in our program, in our facility, seeing what we do. And we also have some kids that do a school to work program as part of this. So it's been been a good experience thus far. So,
Yeah, and the parcel was the former lumberyard parcel, so it's a commercial site. Only issue I think there was some concern about was potential clutter of people park on the public right of way in an intersection.
yeah, and last, yeah, that is an issue. We had signage and to get people, because it's actually set up pretty well where we have gates where they can go, they can drive through, parking. We have plenty of parking in the back area, to the west, but people just, it's convenient. They park on the side of roads. So we're gonna actually have kind of parking attendants that actually kind of direct people to the back, because then they can exit out we have a west gate that they can exit out of. So there's not, just that clustering going on right in the front there. So that's something that we're aware of, and, we need to do better than just signage. We need to have people there to kind of, get people to move on.
It sounds like that would be a real good way to do it because it's a burst of activity, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's great to see the activity there, but it's also, an intersection where it's not, it just, something could happen
Yeah, it
there.
could
So,
be, you want to avoid any danger of any hazard accidentally created.
Yeah.
So, okay, any questions by the committee at this point? Okay, we'll call you back if we need
okay,
to, but
sounds good. Thank you.
we'll continue. I'll open the public hearing on this matter at this point. Is there anyone here wishing to comment on this conditional use request? Being none, no one's online. Okay, with that, I will then close the public hearing and pass it on to the committee for discussion and try to get caught up here.
That's just one day a week, right? And
Fridays. Fridays, yeah, we run it 10 to 2.
Yeah, I think we could get those cars not parked on the side of Bass Lake Road. But I know as soon as they see that activity there, they turn, stop and walk across the road.
Yeah, that managing people can be a problem, but I think his idea of having maybe some of the kids there to go out, and if somebody's doing that, to flag them to please park, and a little signage both, that should help. Any luck at all?
Garage sales have the same problem.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think our conditions were to try to not have parking on the public right of way. And signs aren't on the public right of way, and then standard boilerplate, all local, county, state and federal requirements. For the signs on a public right of way, that wouldn't constitute a no parking sign, right?
No, if it's an official no parking sign, that meets the
Standard.
standard state or county
And the town
standards or
The
town
town
standards.
didn't comment or raise any issues about it, but the town could post no parking. We might want to ask them if they would do that.
I guess if it's still was a problem, I'd ask the town of Meenan to put up one or two, official no parking signs. Then,
Yeah, we were thinking we would probably put like sandwich boards or something,
Yeah.
just to kind of stagger them along there, just to discourage people.
Yeah, this as long as whatever it is doesn't constitute any kind of distraction, that's the key.
This might be a silly question, but is this a conditional use permit, like just for what, like each year will they have to come back for another?
no, so this
Goes on.
is how it's worded, is that it would be every year operated Fridays from that May through September, so they would not have to come back.
Unless they wanted to expand it to. 2
Yeah,
days
unless
or
they wanted to
something,
be
and then-
Friday, Saturdays,
Then
then
you
they'll
could come
change.
back and amend the conditional use
Yep.
permit. But this
But
is what
otherwise,
it is what you asked for now.
Yep.
Any further questions? Discussion by the committee? Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve conditional use permit 2603. And that would include the 3 staff recommendations, which you enumerated a couple of minutes ago.
Yes, I wanted to check on them before I continue. So, okay, motion by Supervisor Blomberg with
I'll second.
seconded by Supervisor Moyer. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Supervisor Lindberg,
Yes.
Supervisor Moyer,
Yes.
Supervisor Szymanski,
Yes.
Supervisor Blomberg,
Yes.
Supervisor Chuck Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Carol Aqua Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Conroy, yes. Motion's carried. So again, they should just, the disclaimer of all conditional use permits, someone who objected would have 30 days to appeal our decision, but obviously no one's here opposing. I don't think you have to worry about that, but that's just how the system works.
Thank you.
The conditional use permit number 2604, Stellrite gravel pit.
Okay.
Well, that would be better, I think. There, thank, that's much more handy for everyone. And what we're doing here is the original approval had lapsed and you're applying to continue, extend the operation, correct? So anything further you want to add at this point? We'll discuss it, obviously, but any issues or length of time, continue to operate? I mean, looks to me like the mining has been going to the west on the pit, right? So are there?
No, it's going more to the southeast.
Okay, but just the land slope, natural land slope runs kind of easterly downhill, and you're moving westerly, sort of, right? Or
The west end is where he has all the lime stored right now, so I don't think you're actively
sorry.
really mining that side.
my
Moving
bad,
east.
my
Yep.
bad. I had it upside down in my mind. So yeah, the lime is the part that looks white. I know.
Yep.
Okay. So any committee questions by the committee at this point? So, okay, well, hearing none, then I will open the public hearing. Anybody present to discuss this or online? No. Seeing no one here to add any further testimony, I'll close the public hearing and open this for committee discussion. So Jason, could you kind of bring us up to speed on exactly?
How long has this been in operation?
I guess maybe you would know when it actually started, but I know there was, so there's something.
There's been no bad reports or anything on it.
Well, it's pretty, it's not
Well-
really, go ahead, Jason.
CP 1018 was issued in 1994 for a gravel pit, and that initial grant was for 5 years. And then 3-year renewals after that, so 94 would be when it started. I have an aerial photo in there that shows the 98 overlay in relation to the current pit size. So it's obviously grown because you need to, keep mining gravel. So,
Right, I don't know what I was thinking when I looked at this map and had it backwards in my brain, but yeah, as it goes easterly, the slope is higher and it's deeper. The floor of the pit's relatively level, not level literally, but it's about 20 feet deep at the eastern side, I would say, and about 10 feet deep at the western edge. But the western part's no longer actively being mined, correct? So I'm just curious, you've got lime that's just stored or spread, or what is it?
Yeah, it's just stored there.
Oh.
I guess my question is this, I mean, in the past, it looks like it had to be renewed every 3 years. Is that kind of the process, the request, the?
Well, you guys, I guess, kind of got to decide what, if you want to have another review in the future. I think there was some times in there, Cole's here from Conservation Department. I think there was some times when it was maybe out of compliance as far as financial assurance and different things like that. So I don't know if the committee wants to put a review on it in the future to make sure that's going well.
And for me, for clarification and for the record, I would be interested in what are those requirements? You know, as far as assurance and so if someone
Gonna
could
have
quick get me up to
that
speed on
about
that.
that, Cole. So
$42,000 bond. For surety deed.
Yeah, and this is something we've been discussing, not your pit specifically, understand, but just in general. In land and water, under our ordinance under NR 135, the bonding and assurances and permitting, you know, hasn't been updated. Maybe Cole could come up and go into detail on that.
Sure.
But they haven't been updated, and the costs are probably exceed what is currently everybody's pit, really.
Sure. So the state regulates non-metallic mines, and as part of that, any mine is supposed to have they're supposed to pay annual fees to the county, which then goes to the state, as well as they're supposed to hold a certain amount of money, either in a bond, a CD, or cash in some cases. And that's held with the county, just in the event that the pit should go bankrupt or defunct, that money will be there that the county can use to reclaim the pit afterwards.
So, and then
and it's
that's
based on acreage or size.
Yep, It's supposed to, as closely as possible, reflect the actual cost of reclaiming the pit. And so that can vary by size and the dimensions of the pit and the current conditions, but the Land and Water are trying to go through a process of updating financial assurance for a lot of the mines in the county. Just because those haven't been updated in a while, and well, you all know, costs have gone up.
right, and then like in this particular mine's case, it's surrounded by property owned by the owner.
Yep.
It's not butting up against the adjoining property owner, which eases reclamation, I would speculate, you know. It's mainly reducing the slopes to a manageable, stable rate and getting some ground cover back on. And I don't know that he's in any, you know, as long as he's current, he's probably no worse off with his assurance than anyone else is at this point.
Yeah, he fulfilled his financial assurance requirement a few months back, so we're all up to date on that and all our fees on our end. So we're back in compliance there.
One thing I would, I guess, just point out kind of anecdotally, I visited with Cole a Matthew pit that is being closed. It's been inactive for quite a long time, but still been open, so to speak.
Yeah, it's been inactive longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
But the point is, it's gonna be reclaimed now, right? And that one had some issues abutting the neighboring property with steep slopes and whatnot. But the adjoining property owner is going to acquire it as wildlife habitat and is okay with extending onto their property to stabilize where necessary. But this is the kind of thing that we don't see very many reclaimed, and this is one of the first that we'll have done. You know, but it's unfair to compare Matthew with Mr. Stellright, because that's a big company with lots of resources, you know, their own equipment and all that kind of thing. So it's a little different deal. But I think, you know, I think we're going to want to have a few conditions about maintaining in compliance with this, because it could, it's going to be an important issue at some point. So, go ahead.
I guess my question is, you know, is there any better protection by having it have to be renewed every few years, or if the conditions are written correctly, then that's, you know, then things are in place to make sure that it stays current or up to date with the current requirements. So it wouldn't be necessary to make the person keep coming back as long as the conditions, you know, that would be the protection too. It's like, well, you can't
Right.
do it until you get back up to compliance.
Yeah, I think it's a time frame. Partly that got the approval temporarily expired, correctly, Jason? So a real short approval is sometimes hard to keep track of. But at the same time, I think part of it is when it's a single private owner in, you know, within a farm, really. You're more concerned about things getting out of hand if it aren't being maintained. So I think we'd have to craft the conditions to address that.
I mean, you know, you have the follow all local, county, state, federal requirements for this activity. That's the catch-all for everything that we put down for every CUP. I think based on, you know, enforcement is tough to do and, you know, takes a lot of time and effort to do enforcement. So part of me says having them come back so often at least puts the onus maybe on them a little bit more. But I'm fine either way.
And this is hypothetical and maybe not the right place to bring this up, but could it be part of the condition that they need to submit to you, like every 3 years, you know, a statement of compliance? I mean,
Well, I mean, I would get, when they're out of compliance, I would get a notification from the conservation department.
okay.
If something is out of compliance, so.
The way we can kind of have our cake and eat it too here, maybe to give them a little longer permit period, but put a review in, like every 2 years for 6 years or something like that.
Well, I mean, we've done 3, I mean. Maybe you do, I don't know, maybe you do 5-year review or something, I don't know,
Right, well, I think we just want to know that we're staying in compliance. I think
yeah.
that's the concern we have. And then we have a couple of conditions asked for by Land and Water too about no manure storage within the pit, right?
Yeah, just as a general requirement.
General requirement, and that's because it's closer to the water table and there's no soil there anymore. It's just open, sandy, highly permeable soil. I lost that. What was it? And then let's see. Not to be a storage or for unconfined manure piles as defined by the that cap 5001 parent 20. And
then my only other one was, you know, do you wanna set some, since they are gonna do crushing there, do you wanna set some hours of operation or days? Cause that is typical of what we've done on other pits is kind of set those hours. So they're not that they're gonna be crushing at 3 AM, but you never know.
this one is a harder one to predict. It's generally for road projects, I would think.
Yes, and I think highway wants to do they wanna do crushing this year, I believe, in that pit.
The townships, yeah.
Or the townships do, yep.
I mean, it's not like a permit operating for a cement plant or something that's
No.
crushing all the time.
No, I think they just crush when they need to re-up their stockpiles.
Right, exactly. So, and then the stockpile remains there as owned by the town or the county or state or whatever, whoever had it done.
Yeah.
And then they remove it till it needs to be produced again. And I'm only getting at that is it's not a constant crushing operation day in, day out, you know, every year. So the hours of operation mainly would probably be when crushing is going on, not doing it all 24 hours, maybe between, you know, 7 and 7 or something like that. Any other numbers out there anybody has a thought of?
Have they gotten any complaints about noise?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, but they haven't crushed out there for 3 years. Yeah, they don't, like I said, they don't crush every year.
No, it's not right by anything. But
Yeah.
it's in an area where there's, you can hear a crusher for miles, you guys know that. So if it was going all night for, all summer, people would complain. But I think if it's a burst type of, for 3 or 4 weeks for 12 hours a day, I don't think that would be an issue really.
Are you proposing perhaps 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday?
Yeah, that sounds reasonable to me.
How does that sound to the applicant?
Well, they have crushed, had 2 shifts going and crushed all night before in the past, and it's never been an issue. Anybody that I know of anyways, nobody's ever complained to me.
So yeah, that's kind of my point of yours is one of the really isolated pits compared to others,
They sort of, I'm involved, it's, ground lock up, freeze up. Those of bird didn't have a time limit on it. but
Go ahead.
Is it possible to craft a condition that there is not a time limitation, but it's open to review if there's complaints? I mean, because it's not likely that there will be, but I'd hate to just say, well, he has permission for 5 years to do it and it becomes an issue. It doesn't sound like it's likely, but is there a way to craft the?
Well, yeah, past practice has been to allow unrestricted crushing with understanding that it would only be for a relatively short period, right? It isn't going to be all summer. So maybe we could make that we're not going to limit times if the period of crushing is 3 weeks or less, something like that might work. About how long do they usually do that when they do that?
I don't know, 3 weeks, if it would all into that window, but I'd say within a couple months at the most, but.
Cause you could have breakdowns and stuff where repairs are needed and they could be down for a week or something
Sure.
like that.
Yeah, I think all we're trying to do is not have it turn into something that it's never been before,
Right.
right? And so if we put a limit on like that, that's not gonna be, somebody's not gonna be out there with a stopwatch anyway, but it's a matter of making it reasonable and keeping it how it's been in the past, but we don't have a documented record of that either, really.
So for a Matthew pit that you guys approved August of 2024. And this was in the town of Oakland where it's a little bit more dense of a more urban area, I guess I'd call it. The hours of operation were 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday. And then they were allowed to do maintenance after those hours. So if they wanted to do maintenance overnight, they could, but that was their hours of operation, 6 to 8 Monday through Friday, 6 to 4 on
I
Saturday.
think
So that's kind of what I guess you've done on a different one.
And in this one, I can kind of see with this location that
Yeah.
not being as big a deal, but I think the trend is with when you get a crushing operation going, starting and stopping it is the bottleneck, So if they were able to run for 2 shifts, for a period of like a month, I don't think that would be a problem on this site. But I don't think it just can't be that it's gonna be going on all the time.
And I'd like to see, that this not be in perpetuity. I mean, it's like a 3 to 5 year, because then if there were a concern, but I think we have to take into consideration, even though it's a for-profit business, they do serve, municipalities and, without costs going up or whatever, it's like, it's something we need. And so being overly restrictive just kind of bumps up our costs for everything.
Yeah, I could see, as far as hours of operation, I could see us doing it this way, saying that it's not restricted for hours, but for a period of time, maybe like for a 2 months period of time. And subject to review if the applicant needs to modify it or there are complaints. Then we bring it back to the committee and we could hash over, we need to make an amendment.
I don't think we're gonna need to, but I think it's good to have it there.
Yeah, I just to provide the check on it, changing it to something it's never been, So. Go ahead.
So I just wanted to ask, I see all the adjacent property owners listed here. Have they been there for a long time and experienced the noise when this is in production, and have any of them complained about it?
I'm not aware of any.
Well, he's got, you have a new neighbor to the east, the Amish folks, that's, I don't know what, I haven't heard anything from them, and I believe everything pretty much north, west and northeast is family, right? And then I haven't heard anything from the owners to the south about it, so.
I think if we do something that's outside of our usual box, but we put it subject to review, that might be a way to not just make it open-ended. But I kind of get the point of the, starting and stopping a gravel crushing operation. Takes a long time to shut it down, it takes a long time to start it up. And it's making just about as much noise, if you know what I mean. So if it's only crushing, but they're still running everything, it's like Karen said, it's necessary evil that we have gravel, gotta have it. And we can kind of make it manageable for the community out there to deal with. That's what we're after. So any further discussion? Anyone ready to try to come up with a motion on this?
I'd like to make a motion to approve conditional use permit 2604 Stellar. For a period of 5 years. Adding the conditions, if the committee, let's see, following all non-metallic mining requirements, including permitting, inspections, reclamation, financial assurance, etc. Site address to be applied for by 6/1/2026. Follow all local, county, state, and federal requirements for this activity. And then we're going to add
The land and water manure thing?
that this site is not to be used for manure storage. And for, let's see, how do I word that? Not limiting the hour. At this time, we're not going to limit the hours of operation for crushing. But pending, complaints, reviews.
Oh, let's do not hours of operation for crushing, but limited to a total period of 2 months. And subject to review or amendment by the applicant.
That sounds good. Do I need to repeat that? Got it, Tanya? And am I missing anything here?
Hours of operation.
No hours, no limited hours, but 2-month duration. Is I think what we're looking at. Simply because they could extend it, if they had wanted to do 2 shifts again. That wouldn't be 24 hours probably, but it would be much of 24 hours. But then they get done quicker when they do that.
Hours of operation in Oakland Township. That was good operation. That was 15 hours a day, 6 to 8. That's almost 2 shifts.
Yeah, well, you could. I just threw out. In this particular location, it may not be as big a deal, but that's why I was. And they'd done it before,
Okay.
And I'm going to check with Jason, anything I'm missing that staff would have a concern about.
No, I don't think so. Are you okay with whatever size it might grow in You're gonna have a 5-year review, so that's a good thing, I think, cause I doubt it's gonna, you know,
But the duration of it is 5 year.
yeah,
And then so we'll
Yeah.
look at where it is in 5 years and
yeah.
see. You can kind of see from your data. And I look too, when you put the topography on there, you can kind of see where the contours aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not growing hugely in a year, but
Yeah,
incrementally increasing.
yeah, that should be fine.
And I wouldn't even know what to say as far as acres. It looks like it started at,
Well, in 98, it was about 5.5 acres, and then now we're. Uh, 25 acres, yeah. So it's taken 30 years roughly, to go 20 acres more.
Right, and then
So acre a year, maybe.
keep in mind as far as reclamation and what all that is an ongoing initiative on all pits, not just this one. To try to get that, a handle on that better. So I don't think we need to tamper with that. Because it's part of the NR 135 code that the county enforces through land and water.
So do you know the motion? I don't think there's been a second yet.
There has been.
second Supervisor Lockwood Anderson's motion.
Have you got it?
Hang on.
I think it was to basically approve it, 5-year review, follow all local county state federal requirements for this activity, no manure storage, follow all NR 135, which was the non-metallic mining, including permitting, inspections, reclamation, financial assurance. And then limited the crushing to a period of 2 months per year.
Did you get the site address?
Oh, and then a site address to be applied for.
was the crushing for 2 months or just the around the clock was for 2
No, the
months?
crushing,
Crushing is a 2 month, okay.
2 months, but subject to review.
Yep,
Um,
that was.
when you say a 5-year review, that means they need to renew their conditional use in 5 years.
Gonna come back in front of this committee, yep.
I also had it, did you say pending complaints?
Oh,
That's,
yeah, that was true, you said.
I think we modified that. I mean, Craig kind of clarified that a little bit, the complaint about you had good wording for that. Sorry.
I'm,
I guess it was kind of saying, subject to review if there's complaints and or the owner wants to change the hours of or the time frame.
That's
Yeah.
prior to the expiration 5 years from now.
Correct, yes. So if,
Can we be explicit that this is to expire in 5 years? As opposed to saying 5-year review or whatever. I want to make it clear for the casual reader and anyone else.
well, yeah, but that would make sense. The permit is for 5
5
years.
years.
And then at that point, we'll come back, but we allowed, we'd set the unlimited hours of operation for a 2-month period per year, but that could be reviewed at request of owners or in response to complaints. I think that was,
We could say subject to renewal versus review. That implies that it's done and you have to renew it.
yeah, that's a good point too, to be, rather than completely expire, it could be renewed. Which is kind of what we do anyway on a conditional use when we set a term.
Well, and
But it implies it's a legitimate operation that we're simply renewing the permit.
when I made the motion, I said renew for 5 years. So I think that covers it, but the conditional use is for 5 years.
Okay.
Was the initial.
Okay,
That's clear.
the original motion is clear, it's for 5 years. Okay, yep, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I'll ask the new guy question here.
That's okay.
So we're limiting him to operating for 2 months in a year. How are we gonna track that? And I just don't understand the need. I appreciate the ability to receive complaints and review at that point, but why would we limit them to the 2 months?
Well, partly because when we asked him how long they had typically been there, he said it's been 2 months at no limit on hours of operation. Okay, where we had limited a different pit in a more populated area to hours of operation. You know, and we didn't, so, but what we're trying to not have, I think, is a total unanticipated change of use where somebody else would move in and want to mine that deposit to its entirety and crush 24 hours a day for 6 months. That would be, no, it's never happened before, but that's the kind of concern you have about not providing some kind of a check on how it affects other property owners nearby.
So I don't hear as great as I should, but
Oh, sorry. I'm not as
so-
loud as I should be.
what you just said was if someone else were to come in and buy it and then change the operation of it,
Right.
would they not have to get a new? No,
Runs
Not-
conditional use permit runs with the property, not with the person.
Yeah, well, traditionally, that was always the law. It was the property, not the person. There is the ability to limit it to under Act 67, to limit it to the current owner, and if they sell it, it has to be changed. But I don't anticipate Mr. Stelright selling any of that in 5 years, you know.
sure.
And so, and that personal license business of limiting it to the owner, but then he can't sell it, is more of a obstruction to the property's future use than having it run with the property, really, you know?
Okay.
You see what I mean? So
Sure.
that for this kind of operation, that's probably not a good idea. Because it could be inherited by family members or, you know, that kind of thing.
And then my second question was gonna be, so if we're waiting 5 years for him to come back and renew, my concern is how much does he expand during that 5 years, and will that exceed his ability to? What's the funds that are set
Reclamation?
aside
Financial
to,
assurance, the financial assurance.
right, to
Well-
make sure that he can restore it back?
Every year those amounts are adjusted based on how much mine he has open, right?
They're updated periodically.
Okay.
Yeah, and we haven't done in a while, which is why we're reviewing them, but the annual fee is adjusted for the amount of mine that is open, but periodically we do revise the financial assurance, like if the pit's grown a lot or the cost has increased a certain amount, we try to review those.
And again, to keep that in mind, that applies, the issues that he's talking about that we need to update apply to all the mines in the
Sure.
county. And that's why I didn't think we needed to get into trying to deal with that here. Because it's going to be a ordinance amendment issue that we have to address in a separate agency.
So periodically, what is that now roughly?
And what's your financial assurance right now? Here's that 42,000, and we try to update them whenever we have the time. They haven't been updated in a while, and we're still drafting a policy on how we're going to go about updating all the mines in the county. And I'll also emphasize that a non-metallic mining permit, which is what I oversee and which is related to the financial assurance and reclamation plan and annual fee, that is separate from the conditional use permit.
Go ahead, Brent.
No, for clarifying in my mind, crushing is essentially the processing. It's not necessarily the same thing as digging or mining. Is that correct?
Right, other activity, all the hauling out, loading and hauling and moving product, that's not limited at all. This is just the
We're just talking
production.
about crushing.
Right, and-
That's typically not the noisy operation, trucking, you know, and
No.
hauling, it's the
It's the crushing.
busting of the rocks, you know, that's.
and
Processing.
in this
Yep.
kind of a pit, you know, this is not a Hopkins operation at his farm, it's a farm with a pit. So those are periodic, produce stockpiles and then might not crush for 2 years or something or more.
Thank you.
I want to clarify the motion then, sorry, because I think we said hours of operation, so we're just talking about hours of crushing is limited because there's not a limit to the hours of operation.
You're right.
Except for, I don't know if you want people hauling all night long, but that's not likely to happen, but
No.
it's like, do you mind reading that part of the motion? What did we say for hours of operation? Sorry,
Or period of
period
operation.
of operation.
I put at this time not limiting hour of operation for crushing.
Okay, it's specific to crushing. Right?
Crushing could only take place though over roughly a 2-month period with no hours, no limit on the hours of operation for crushing.
Crushing, specific for crushing, right?
And then the rest of the time, trucking, hauling product in and out, loading dump trucks, that can go on.
Or doing work to reclaim some of it. you
Yes,
know, and all
reclaiming, whatever
it-
can
That would be
happen.
stabilizing slopes maybe and spreading topsoil, all that other stuff is unlimited. It's only the loud, noisy crushing operation. So are we clear in the motion now, I think? That was where we started.
Should we have a readback of the motion?
Sure. Alright, so, motion to approve for a period of 5 years, adding the conditions, I just put 2, 3, and 4. With the addition of this not to be used for manure storage. At this time, not limiting hour of operation for crushing, subject to neighbor complaints, but a limited period of 2 months per year and subject to review.
Yeah.
I might have to do some
Yeah,
wordsmithing, but
the
that's.
intent
what
was
they-
to review for both if the applicant needed to change it and or there were complaints we were responding to. So, because the applicant might need to modify it as well. And that's just to provide the opportunity to look at it at need, really. Right?
Then did you mention the manure?
Yeah. She mentioned that.
It's not to be used for.
Yeah.
Okay, got the motion? So, anything further? Okay,
So
roll
we
call.
did get a second for the
Yep.
motion.
Yes. Supervisor Slomanski seconded it. Supervisor Lockwood made it. Anderson made it. Roll call vote. Supervisor Lindbergh. Supervisor Moyer.
Yes.
Supervisor Blumberg.
Yes.
Supervisor Chuck Anderson.
Yes.
Supervisor Karen Lockwood Anderson.
Yes.
Supervisor Connery, yes. Motion's carried.
I'll throw in a yes too.
You
Pardon?
missed him.
Oh, did I miss Supervisor Slomanski? I'm sorry.
I'm hurt.
You did say yes, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. Yeah, thanks. Okay, on to conditional use permit 2605 for fireworks stand.
Good morning. I'm Scott Peckman with owner of Starsville Trips Fireworks based out of Dresser. I'm looking to sell fireworks in the Rock Crusher and the Wayne's Foods in Danbury parking lots. I did sell there last year. And I took over the spot in Danbury from a previous vendor. Last year, I did reach out to the town of Siren and the village of Siren and contacted both of them and was told I did not need a permit. So I did operate last year without a permit. And that was my bad for not reaching out to the county, and I apologize. I just didn't assume I needed one. I typically do sell elsewhere. And I usually go to the townships or the village or the cities that I sell in, and if I get a permit there, I don't need anything from a county. So.
Well, we're just getting it straightened out now, so.
Me too. Absolutely.
And then by this kind of a permit, it's not an annual permit that you still might need in a village or a town if the town has a regulation. But this is a land use permit for the activity to continue unless you cease it for a year and then you have to come back.
No, I plan on continuing, and as far as I know, the township of Siren and the village of Siren do not require one.
No.
And in Webster, I have one, and the town of Swiss does not require one either.
Right.
So,
They rely on us to do this.
correct.
Okay. So, as far as I know, did we have any concern or any issues with parking on these? Have we heard?
No, I didn't. I mean, I didn't observe any parking issues last year on the Rock Crusher one. I guess we should probably talk about them separately, so we're not talking
Right,
about the
right.
pending other one first.
No.
I didn't see any parking issues at Rock Crusher last year.
Let's see, this is the one on Rock Crusher,
Yes,
Okay.
first one.
right?
Yep.
And the only thing I saw, they have parking that they use for boat trailers and
Yeah.
whatnot there. And as long as you're steering people in, there isn't a place where parking on that road blocks another commercial activity, which was what I was looking at and realized it was on Rock Crusher, which is busy, but not like a supermarket or something. either.
Yeah, that's a frontage road, and just past Rock Crushers, that frontage road isn't even paved.
Right. It wasn't-
So it's not exactly a
but I-
major used road, so.
I think
Yep.
we would want to encourage minimizing any obstruction to get to Rock Crusher, but since you're right on the premises, he will let you know if you're keeping his customers away.
We
right?
had no issues with him at all last
No,
year.
I'm kind of teasing, but yeah.
No, I understand. We don't wanna
That's the
impede
issue you
future
look
business.
for.
Correct.
So,
Is it going to be affected by the road construction?
It's a good question. Last year was our first year in Siren and we did quite well. And they were the whole road going through Frederick. So I don't know if it was an issue or not. So, but
might be more of an issue next year, right?
yes. And this year, it's gonna be a Saturday and it's the 250th birthday of the country. So it should be a good year, no matter what, unless the economy takes a crap, but. So as far as the road construction, I have no idea.
But I think we are clear on what it is and where it is, right? Do we have any other questions for the applicant? If not, I'll let you take a step back and I'll open a public hearing for a minute. So is there anyone here who wishes to testify about this one? No one online? So hearing none, I'll close the public hearing then. And pass it on to the committee. Aaron?
I guess my question is this conditional use for the activity, or is there a separate permit required for the physical unit? I mean,
I'm not gonna require a permit for the physical unit because the physical unit really is temporary. It goes away.
should we state that?
No, I don't think you have to, because if it stayed there, then I'm gonna say, hey, you need a land use permit for it.
How long do people have before they need like if they place a container?
There's nothing in the ordinance that technically has a time frame specific, but I mean, it's worded as what a temporary fireworks stand. So in my mind, if it sits there all year round, that's no longer temporary.
It's sort of like the same as a farmer's market. People
Yeah.
are gonna come to the farmer's market and set up a canopy and a table, but we don't make them get a permit for that either. Because we've permitted the activity, which is dynamic and changing potentially.
I just don't want to inadvertently say we're approving the structure. I
You
mean,
can't approve, cause even, let's say the structure didn't meet a setback of some kind, this CUP wouldn't be granting a variance
it's
to,
just the activity.
yes, meeting some other requirement. Yep.
Right, and then I think you might have this closer to a side lot line than you would do a permanent structure, but it's temporary, it's just a place to have product and to sell. So and we do it we permit farm stands too out in the country sell produce or eggs or whatever, and we don't care what the setback is, because it's temporary seasonal type of thing. So. Any further questions or discussion by the committee? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve conditional use permit 2605 with the following conditions: no parking allowed on public road right of way, no signs allowed on public roads right of way, follow all local, county, state, and federal requirements.
I'll second.
A motion by Supervisor Szymanski and a second, which Supervisor Moyer. Any further discussion of the motion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Supervisor Lindberg,
Yes.
Supervisor Moyer,
Yes.
Supervisor Szymanski,
Yes.
Supervisor Blumberg,
Yes.
Supervisor Chuck Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Karen Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Conray, yes. Okay, we're good with that one. Now, I'll back up for a second. Talk about Danbury.
Danbury is in the parking lot of Wayne's Foods. We are on the northwest corner of his parking lot.
Yeah, again, no issue whatsoever with parking there.
Absolutely not. No.
Oh. And. Chuck. And I'm gonna, you don't even need to, you can, I guess, go sit down again. I'll open a public hearing. Is there anyone here online or in person to testify? None. Close the public hearing and go to the committee for this one. So. Any further discussion? This one is even easier than the previous one. So I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve SUP 2606 with the following three conditions: no parking on public roads right of way, no signs allowed on public roads right of way, follow all local, county, state, and federal requirements.
Supervisor by Supervisor Szymanski, motion, second by Supervisor Moyer. Without any further discussion. Roll call vote, Supervisor Lindberg,
Yes.
Supervisor Moyer,
Yes.
Supervisor Szymanski,
Yes.
Supervisor Blumberg,
Yes.
Supervisor Chuck Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Karen Lacqua Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Conroy, yes. Motion's carried there. You're all good now.
Thank you very much.
That's conditional use permit CUP 2607 for the indoor-outdoor storage facility, which we have approved once before, but it took a while for you to get all ready to get it done, so we're back. I'm impressed. I gotta tell you, that's the most thorough plans for one of these we have ever seen.
So they have all everything you gave me, they have all that digitally.
Yeah, so he would. First of all, Andy Hirsch representing Gene. Thank you to all of you for spending your time to be a part of the Burnett County, and I know it's a commitment that probably a lot of people don't recognize, but thank you for your service. Some of you were here a few years back. I think it was almost 3 or 4 years now when we were first here. And we got granted our conditional use permit. I'm gonna spare you the full review. I'm sure you all went back and watched the tape, but here we are, basically just asking for an extension of everything that we did before. Yeah, it's taken a little bit longer. Obviously, we've complied with all of the conditions of the original conditional use permit. We got so far as actually pulling the permits with Jason. Only to then be hung up by a couple banks that were yeses and then turned to nos. Obviously, this is a larger project. So all I'm gonna do is just give kind of a brief review of what we've actually actively been doing. So we received our conditional use permit, I think it was 2022, and immediately got to work on what we needed to do to move the project forward, following all the conditions put upon the conditional use permit. Some of the people that we had to contract with, our first hurdle was working with Polk Burnett Electric. They had high, voltage overhead power lines, an actual Y or a T going through the property that carried access easements underneath them. It was an interesting conversation because I went in and I said, hey, I'd like to discuss something. They said, sure. I said, can we pull out the maps? They said, sure. I said, you have overhead power lines here. What would it take to remove these? And their answer was, I don't know. No one's ever asked us a question like that before. I said, well, I'd like to know. So it did take quite a bit of time. They put some numbers together for us. We reviewed it and we said, okay, we can commit to our portion of that work, which we did. That work took most of that season, because they had to pull the power lines all the way back to the eastern frontage road on the other side of 3570. And then they put everything underground going back up to the intersection where Laverne crosses there. Then they had to sub out boring, so it was bored underneath both frontage roads and the 3570. Then they had to run underground all the way down Laverne, down Shirley, and simultaneously disconnect and reconnect all of the services that were there. So that took a minute and wasn't cheap. Next we contracted with NWBE out of the Hayward area. Gary Colbert was the lead on that. He's the one who worked, was kind of our lead in developing the plans and all the necessary requirements to do that. One of the things that we did from the very beginning was I came in and talked with Jason about, as you guys know, we own the RR3 land west of there, which at the same time we were working with Jerry Kraus to put in basically just 5-acre lots there is what we ended up doing. But that whole design was done simultaneously with Wagner Surveying in some discussions with Jason Town about the development of this site twofold. Number one, the dirt work requirements that we were starting to get our bearings on, but also the storm pond requirements. And he said, yeah, you can put it over there. And I said, that was a good fit for the overall development because we wanted to come up with a site plan that allowed us to zero out the dirt so that there's no import or export. So we can simply just, have basically all the activity kind of stay right there on site. So that's partially why the storm pond was moved over onto the R3, obviously to capitalize on the C1 usage as well. But as you can tell by the plan, it's it's an oversized storm pond, just because of the site requirements that we needed for dirt. So then we had to do our wetland delineation. Tim King with Ecosystems came in. We handled all of that. We had to do a submittal to the Army Corps of Engineers. We had to do a lupine study because the blue butterfly habitat conservation plan required that we did it, so we did. We had to contract with Hollister Design, Mary Jo Huppert. I don't know, we must have done 20 test pits out there for soil analysis. Through the wetland delineation process, there were 6 separate wetlands that were identified. So we submitted all the necessary applications for artificial wetland exception requests. Steve LaValle was I think our lead on that. 5 of those 6 were determined to be man-made wetlands. We do have an active permit with them. The one wetland to the kind of the southeast corner, we have the 10,000 square foot exception where we used basically 9990 of that wetland. And we're following all the DNR requirements on that. Long Island Engineering was contracted, Todd Gibbon. Wagner Surveying's been all over that property, Mark Kraus. As you know, if you've driven out there, the property's been cleared. That was contracted through Brush Crushers. Then we thought we had to go ahead, permits are done, we're ready to go. The bank that we've been working with since 2022 was yes, 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 until we were ready to go. Then they had new leadership on their board and it became a no. So then it was kind of like, all right, well, on to the next one. Our second one went through 3 rounds with their board. One changed his mind and said no. So March of 25, I think we pulled the actual permits. And around March of this year, I came in to talk to Jason. I said, okay, we're with our 3rd bank. looks like, we're in a rush phase, but I think we're good. I need to extend my permits. At which point he said, can't do that. I'm like, you gotta be kidding. So here we are. Yeah, so, it's been a long process. I mean, I guess part of the frustration is all conditional use permits are considered the same through Burnett County. I guess secondarily to my request of just extending our conditional use permit is it'd be nice if there was some sort of process already kind of initiated where, we basically have lost a whole season as a result of, whether it's a conditional use permit for a temporary 2-month fireworks stand or a conditional use permit for a 10-acre project, they're all considered the same. And so that's been kind of a frustration. I guess my only request is that at some point, maybe you guys would consider, hey, conditional use permit 1 and conditional use permit 2, and then the applicant could so decide which they wanted to, but anyways, go ahead.
Whatever it's worth, is that's based on Corp Council guidance
Sure.
from the past.
Yeah.
And it is something we talked about, that maybe there should be some way we could qualify that for some major project that was gonna take longer,
Yeah.
The vast majority aren't. That's kind
Yeah.
of the catch-22.
No, I get that.
If you know what I mean, but yeah.
Even like with this, I mean, it's most likely gonna come up for us again, because this is a large project, so we have a phase 1, which is basically 8 buildings. Which is still a large project, but obviously just, supply and demand, we have to follow that curve, so.
No,
But-
we understand, and it is what it is, but you're not the only one who's had this come up, and we are in the process of looking at amendments. It's something we'll talk about, but we have to find a way to do it.
I
That's
appreciate that.
equitable, right?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
So.
And at the end of the day, I mean, it's a hoop and we're jumping through it, so.
That's the easiest one probably by this point, right?
Hopefully.
So, no, as I said, you've got the most, because of the issue you have with high groundwater and managing it and confine, you've had to do a lot more than most people have to do for this kind of project, so. It's
And
good.
honestly, we didn't mind doing it, because if you've taken a look at the plans, these are all GPS driven plans at this point, so. It kind of gives everybody who's gonna be actively doing anything, very clear direction on, how we're gonna get to the end.
Exactly.
It hasn't been cheap, but it'll be worth it in the end.
There's almost no audience there anymore, but I still have to close.
Not a problem.
Take your testimony. We may bring you back.
That's fine. Thank you
Um,
thank you for your time.
And open a public hearing. No one here to comment, nobody, town of Byron even, nothing?
We submitted our letter.
We have, no, I'm just kidding, but you're the only non-staff person here now, so. So having said that, I'll close the public hearing, go to the committee. Now, this is the kind of plans you still don't see very often for a project, as much detail as we're looking at here. Any discussion or for?
I
Open
appreciate all the
discussion?
information. I don't understand all the information. I think Craig has reviewed it because he understands it a lot better. But my only question, and it probably is clear somewhere, is there's some sort of a retention pond, and is that on the same parcel or a different?
It's right here.
Oh, there, okay.
Yep.
And
It
is it on,
goes towards the Gandy direction.
and is that on the same parcel?
No, it's on.
It's on the adjoining
residential
parcel.
lot on the other side of Shirley Road.
Do we need to do any, I mean, basically the existence of that?
Well, that's how it was noticed in the public hearing. That's
Okay.
what I said, the storm pond on tax ID.
Well, I'm just wondering, it's like if that parcel were to be sold, does it affect this at all? Or
Oh,
is it?
no, this is typically how this is done in more urban areas. There's storm ponds all the time that are on other parcels of land. And they have to have that storm pond as part of their DNR permit. So it's not like they can just, oh, you guys approved it, now we're gonna fill in that pond. There's always gonna be lifetime easements, even if they sold that land to someone else, they'll have to keep a reserve and easement for that storm pond to
And that-
remain.
And that pond, as I recall from the previous discussion years ago, is in sort of the lower part of the landscape anyway, right? Yeah, I'm asking you.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's usually you're gonna put it be in the low spot and that's where.
Yeah, so there was even a wetland on that side of the road that was declared as a man-made wetland because of where they pumped that road
For
through.
trapping water.
Yeah, and so that storm pond is actually designed for the overflow to actually then go in to kind of where I don't know if it's really a wetland, but where kind of the natural flow of a
Natural-
significant rain event would occur.
Natural runoff basin.
Yeah, so it was kind of just a natural fit that it actually went there and that you can see where I don't know how the thing would ever fill up. We'd have bigger problems in our county if it did. But it has to have a discharge, at a certain point. So that is to the west. And that's kind of where the natural flow of a big rain event
Call it the
happens.
lay of the land or whatever.
Yeah, so it was just it was a very logical
So
solution.
I could remember what the site was like, and that's kind of what I recall too, is that seemed to make perfect sense. And then in a certain way, even though it's gonna be pretty low density parcels up there.
Yeah.
To the west, it's runoff or driveway, whatever, it's still there. It's gonna be,
If you look at the topo map, you can kind of see the natural flow of the land right on the western side of where we terminate that storm pond.
yeah, it looked like you answered the question I would have asked already, which is, it's really large, but that's partly because you're using it as a borrow for
Yes.
upland.
Yeah.
So you get an excessive storm pond, which is way better than an inadequate one.
Exactly, yeah. It's probably 2.5 times bigger than it really needs to be, simply because of the way that the site. So the reason why it's so GPS driven is the entire site is designed with a 1% slope from the east to the west. And so instead of a bunch of valleys and trying to move water around the site, the buildings themselves, the slabs are actually designed to be built at a 1% tilt. The buildings themselves will be built like that. So you won't even be it won't be like this driving through there. It'll just be one gradual slope from east to west. And that's why you see a big V ditch on that western fence line, is it's very minimal, but it's designed to catch all that water and then transfer it all over to the storm pond.
So
So
think back to the roundabout retention ponds being full of water a number of years ago.
Yeah.
And DOT trying to figure out how to get rid of the water.
Yeah.
Right? Same.
So it's actually, even though it's a complicated plan, it's actually pretty simple once you kind of ingest all the GPS data, so.
Right.
As long as Andy's up here, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So it says indoor and outdoor storage, and it kind of looks like the buildings themselves will act as some sort of screening. Is there an order, or maybe you can just clarify,
Yeah, so if you go around all the perimeter buildings will be in phase 1. And then the buildings themselves are actually used as security and screening. And then there's fence will go between building A, building B and stuff like that to enclose it off. Obviously, the interior at this point is all, there's I think up to 2 buildings that are on the interior. There's 5 or 6 buildings, I think, on the exterior. So the interior at this point is just gonna be simply supply and demand. So the outdoor storage, obviously, our intention, our hope is that, demand would force us to build every building and there's really not any room for outdoor storage. But
Right.
in the meantime, to,
The
make it
transition.
work, yeah.
The screening for the outdoor storage is the buildings.
Exactly.
And then as you add buildings, reduce outdoor
We'll have to
storage.
reduce the outdoor storage, yeah.
Oh.
But there's a lot that, when we do the outdoor, the perimeter, there's a lot of usable square footage in the middle, so we're like, well, we need to make it cash flow, so.
Yeah, it's a good way though, because rather than having to screen it, the buildings serve as a screen.
Yeah.
Virtually all but a little bit.
The buildings that are towards 3570 are deeper buildings, so they're actually taller,
Mhm.
which provides even more screening from the drive-by traffic. Thank you.
So, any further questions by the committee?
So can I just ask,
Of course.
just trying to visualize this in my head, where exactly is this?
If you know where, well, somebody who knows You
Chuck's,
explain
it's
it, Chuck's,
behind Chuck's garage.
well, it's
Just south of Chuck's garage. It's literally a half a mile down the street here.
Sure.
Chuck's garage is on the north side, the strip mall. It's gonna be behind the strip mall.
yeah.
Okay.
That's right there on 35.
Good fun.
Good Finds store. Yep, that's in the mall right now. Yep. It's gonna be right behind there.
So across, across 35, is that where,
Rock Crusher is almost across the street. Yep.
yeah, would be on the
East.
east side of the road, and this would be behind the businesses on the west side.
Ample room for emergency vehicles to get around there?
The road that you'll have in and out of there, and then, as I recall from the previous time, it's secure entrance is what you'll have. So it would be gated, I think, yeah. I don't think you were on the committee when we approved this the first time yet.
I can't remember.
I don't think so. So
And this is just pretty much an extension of the cup that we already approved.
it's continuing it. It's with the final version of all the detail down to the minutia provided to you now, right? So, and because of the way the buildings were constructed, which was the original plan, minimized or reduced the need for any screening, because they provide that. And the fencing will be there where there a little bit of it isn't a building, right? So, any further questions? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Cup 2607 with the following conditions. All lighting to be directed downward inside the facility. Follow all local, county, state, and federal requirements for this activity.
And sign regulations.
Part of number 2.
Oh,
And I'll second.
second by Supervisor, motion by Supervisor Szymanski, seconded by Supervisor Moyer. Any further discussion of the motion?
So are we skipping items 1, 2, and 3 then?
All part of number 2.
From 2 on, I think, because we didn't think there needed to be screening
Yeah.
because of the buildings, but
I'm skipping number 1.
2 and 3 and 4 and 5 all are included, right?
Okay.
Any further discussion of the motion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Supervisor Lindberg,
Yes.
Supervisor Moyer,
Yes.
Supervisor Szymanski,
Yes.
Supervisor Blomberg,
Yes.
Supervisor Chuck Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Karen Locke Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Conroy, yes. Motion's carried.
Thank you. Back to the bank.
So on to review of our amendments that we're proposing. For Supervisor Lindberg, we started the discussion of a couple of different amendments to the ordinance last month. And one of them is, as issues come up about data centers and particularly really large data centers. When we read our ordinance, we only have a single industrial district. That's fairly light in, as far as industry goes. And it has language in it that anything that we don't list, and the way these ordinance list is what is listed is what you can do. And if it isn't listed, you have to either address it as something similar by conditional use permit, or you can't do it. And we don't have anything similar in any way to a mega data center in our ordinance. So we would technically say, if someone wanted to build a data center, that we don't allow it. The concern about why don't we just leave it like that is simply that often in these sort of high profile, high controversy sites, the state will initiate an action and preempt local control a lot of the time. And so we thought we would be proactive and create some process where we would have the ability to consider such a request, should it come up. Under amendments to the conditional use law that happened quite a while ago now, 2017 Act 67. If you apply for a conditional use and offer conditions that the committee meets the concerns of the committee, you cannot deny it. Or if you do, you're going to be in court. So we would rather not just do a conditional use for something that might be really large and impactful and controversial. So we create what's called a floating zoning district, that we aren't rezoning anything to that district until someone requests it. But should we go through the process, then that makes that act a legislative act by the entire county board and isn't reviewable as a conditional use for the decision to provide the opportunity. Then, because you've done that and you do a conditional use permit, you're assumed that you will find you can approve it because you created the standards within the zoning district to provide that option. That's the data, the I2 Energy Industrial District that we're proposing. Go ahead.
And I was just gonna add, my understanding would be that since it's a rezone, it also gives some say to the town.
Yes,
Because
yes.
they have the right to say, we don't want to rezone it. You know, so we can't,
Outside
like,
of the
override
shoreland area.
Yeah, out of the shoreline
out of
area.
shoreline.
So
So then,
the zoning map is the town's map. That's, but the state has mandated the county have final say in shoreland areas, 1,000 feet of a lake, 300 feet of a river, or the landward edge of the floodplain, whichever is farther. But for the non-shoreland areas of the county, the towns that are under zoning have veto authority over a change of that. And then also you bring the comprehensive plan consistency into this. But this is again being more proactive than reactive. I don't know that we're a site because of the enormous power demands that we may not be able to provide here or may not be available here. But it's something that other county board members who are not on this committee too have wondered about and raised, what would we do? So we're looking into it. Then, and again, we're not adopting this or anything or making a recommendation of that today, but we are providing looking at creating the district. And then we also have, or we don't have.
I didn't put the village overlay because that we already have scheduled for a public hearing.
All right.
Because
all right,
we
good.
pretty much solidified that language.
Yeah, the other
last
one,
time.
I'm sorry about that. I didn't, I guess I stopped reading right at this one. The other one we did, again, I'm talking this mostly for Supervisor Lindbergh's. The town of Swiss has a sanitary district in the unincorporated village of Danbury. And we've had that in the ordinance for a long time, an overlay, but really didn't develop it much. And what that does, because it's in a village that is laid out as a village and has small lots and has public sewer and water, we're amending the ordinance to provide the development density similar to what you would do in a village. So the lots can be smaller and it can be higher density, like duplexes, permitted use, conditional use permit for 3 or 4-plex dwellings. This is at the request of the town of Swiss because we have an issue in the county of workforce. People trying to get a job here and can't find a place to live. So it's rental properties and more economical, smaller residential density than we typically have in a rural county. So that one will be a public hearing, but we ran through that before, decided what it should look like, and we'll conduct a public hearing on that in our June meeting. And then potentially take that to county board. And then Swiss has at least a couple of places where once it's in effect, they would like to proceed with something.
I think so,
I
yeah.
believe. At least one triplex, I think, and probably some duplexes. And this will just allow kind of infilling within that village. Otherwise, they'd have to go with a 150-foot lot where all the other lots are 60. So that's the deal there. So just to sort of get you a quick
When
up
you
to
said
speed.
150 foot lots, what do you mean by that?
150 feet of width, 30,000 square feet of area is a.
That's
dim-
the
dimension of-
smallest, so our smallest zoning district that we have in our ordinance is RR1, and that requires 150 foot lot width. So that's why we wanted to change that village overlay district, because that's way too big of a lot if they have sewer and water. Should have smaller lots to capitalize on that infrastructure, so. Cause our county ordinances is designed for unincorporated areas, so Danbury really should be a village. But they don't want to incorporate as a village, so we're trying to make a little carve out for them in our ordinance to allow them to do things that
This is-
are like a village.
This is more common in some other, like in Bayfield County, all those little villages along Lake Superior, Herbster and Cornucopia. That are like this. They're still unincorporated too, but they have sanitary districts, so they allow smaller lots. You get over to like Land O'Lakes, so in Vilas County is a township. And it's, you know, it's got a Walmart and you would swear you're in Spooner, but you're still in the town of whatever Land O'Lakes, I think, is a town. You know, in a rural county. It's not like anywhere else, but this is to accommodate that need both for housing and to allow Swiss to take advantage of the sanitary district they have. And it could theoretically happen if near Siren too, maybe someday the ordinance would provide for it. It's not specific to Danbury. But it only could happen where you have sewer and water. You wouldn't do this otherwise.
So today's solution is, instead of shrinking the lot size, is the triplexes and the duplexes, is that, am I wrong?
Well, that's just an option by conditional use, but again, we don't have much of that. But where we have sewer and water, we could have. I think that's a conversion the guy's proposing in Danbury, is it not? That of a already existing building. But generally speaking, our ordinance is a single family dwelling on a lot in the rural county. And part of that is because of waterfront zoning. If you had a 150-foot lot with a duplex on, you essentially got two 75-foot lots, right? Potentially. But in order to be consistent on both in and out of the shorelands, that's our density.
Hadn't really given it much thought, but I mean, just reflex reaction is I'd rather have a smaller lot and a single family home on it than duplexes.
True, but
I
we
just-
provide that as an option. Kind of like the townhomes, they call them in the cities. You know, they do
Right.
that a lot.
But those are more expensive to build per unit, they cost more, and I think we're trying to get more workforce type housing, which that tends to be more duplex, triplex, fourplex. Cause the economies of scale, it's cheaper to build those units.
Yeah, no, we have like,
Well, I just think, and again, I haven't given it a whole lot of thought, but people want to live in the country. They want to live in Burnett County for a reason. Otherwise they would live somewhere where.
you're right. That's the philosophy of most of the towns and the counties, but in Danbury too, Danbury wants big lots outside the village. But within a village, they'd like to be able to infill and take advantage of their sewer and water district with more customers, right? So more water, right? More money for the operator. It's sort of like, it's just which side of the line are you on? And as Jason said, no real good reason why Danbury isn't an incorporated village like Webster. I think at one time Danbury was a bigger village than Webster was, right? 100 years ago, but it never did change much and Webster did, so. Anyway, that's
Sure.
we try to accommodate what the towns want, where it's consistent with their plan and what they have the infrastructure to support.
I'm witnessing and talking to Scott McLean about his venture in developing low-cost housing in Grantsburg, and he hit a wall. People just didn't want to buy the townhouses, and he's actually pretty much just thrown his hands up in the air and said, I'm selling the lots and I'm done with this, cause
Yeah, we've had that discussion at the housing committee. And I think, from the village of Grantsburg, who's here, yeah.
Yeah. Greg Pierce, isn't it?
Yeah.
sorry, Greg,
Greg Pierre is on that committee and we talked about this
sure,
at the housing level. And it's like you're trying to provide it and nobody seems to be interested, right? But, it's catch-22 because
right,
this county has something like, let's say our resident population, 17,000, right? We got almost that many rural addresses in Burnett County, not even counting the villages, right? So theoretically, every single person has a house here, right? But not true. They're seasonal, non-resident owners,
sure,
but when they're vacant, they tend to get rented out as Airbnbs, not as for people to rent it for months or years at a time.
sure,
So that impacts the amount of rentals that are available for people to move here for a job that haven't bought anything, right? So we're trying to come up with some ways to see some additional housing happen that's in the affordable side. And again, inside a village is about the only place you have sewer and water and can do it. Webster's doing something on your old fairground site similar to this too.
Because I think the vacancy rate, non-resident, in Burnett County is like 55%. So it's a lot of houses that people aren't living in as their residents, reducing the availability for people coming here to work.
So,
well, I don't believe that. A house is a house, if somebody owns it, there's plenty of properties around here that people can buy and build on. And I don't think that limits people from buying an existing house.
well, we're hearing from the
I mean,
employees.
this has always been a recreation camp, cabin kind of area, right?
True.
So,
We are hearing that though from employers that people that they offer jobs to sometimes back out because they can't find a place to live. It's
I'm not saying that there's not a shortage, but I'm not willing to accept that people that own cabins up here are hurting people.
oh no,
I'm
no,
not saying that.
no, we're not saying that. We're just saying they're not available to rent. Is all.
Hey, understood, but then again, somebody that has 20 acres in a cabin in the middle of nowhere, are we saying that people that are coming here for jobs are ready to buy that property?
Not necessarily, just saying that we're hearing that, as we have that problem with the hiring employees as a county.
Yeah.
The medical facilities are,
Not
that
arguing
kind of
that
thing.
one bit. Not at all.
So anyway, just kind of the basis for what the Swiss was trying to do, to take advantage of having sewer and water and make it a little bit more
Sure.
usable for everybody. So anyway, I was just kind of giving you that for the catch up. So
I'm certainly willing to listen and keep an open mind, but I come with things in my head too, like we talk all the time about affordable housing and things like that. And I mean, if you go in Grantsburg and look at the houses that are in the village, it's 1 and 2 bedrooms. And it's not 3 and 4. And we grew up in different times where siblings shared a room.
Yeah, you're right.
Things like that kept housing costs down. People don't buy into those thoughts anymore. And
you're onto something with that too. There's what's available isn't what they want sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So anyway,
well,
we should probably proceed, but I just wanted you to get and by
yeah,
all means,
appreciate it.
we want you to talk. Don't we always want to know what you're thinking. That's not a bad thing at all.
I have a question, section, where it talks about conditional uses. Just trying to understand the size of solar facilities, and just for reference, when, Polk Burnett wanted to put one in, what size was that?
That was,
Well, the one that Polk Burnett has out there by Viola Lake is a 2.5 megawatt.
Okay, how about the one they were talking about, Lake, how big was that one?
Northwest Electric, I think that was 3-ish.
it was small. It was 14 acres altogether though.
Yeah, which I think is about the size of the one by Viola Lake, so.
I guess my question when I'm looking at this permit or this, are we essentially, I mean, it still has to come to conditional use and public hearing and everything, but are we essentially, I don't want to say squashing, smaller solar energy operations, but I guess more the concern is, let's say someone wants to, rezone and maybe a 5 to 7 acre, maybe something just slightly over 1 megawatt might be acceptable, to the surrounding people. And so I think the minimum amount they can convert to I2 is 40 acres. And they're like, oh, well, just kidding. We changed our mind now, but now it's been converted to I2 and then a data center could go in there.
Well, you kind of take the risk of that for any rezone.
Well, I guess I'm just questioning, is the solar energy too, is that like too small of a thing? Like we're being restrictive for energy we might potentially need in this area?
And so this is still a work in progress.
But that's kind of my comment on it is thinking.
Well, the question is, do we want to allow smaller, maybe we ought to not have a solar facility as a conditional use in this district if we could also provide smaller ones outside of this district, right?
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
It's like,
The catch kind of was that with solar, when we did the one in Webb Lake, the one by Viola Lakes and Sand Lake, so there was no permitting through us. But in Webb Lake, we really tried to define it to fit forestry because it really didn't. The old ordinance, that was in the days of a power facility would be a dam, right? So maybe we should reconsider that just for a solar collecting facility, maybe we could let it be a bit bigger in here and smaller out of with the conditional use still in forestry, but we'd have, or ag, but we'd have to cap that at a maximum then.
Right. That's just my thoughts of maybe looking at that a little bit more.
Well, let's think about just simply the solar collector, thing without storage. I think where Jason and I were talking about was where you had battery storage for solar facilities. That's a whole separate type of use that you'd have concern about access for a fire, a battery fire, or that kind of thing. But just for the 7, 8, 14, whatever acres of collectors, maybe not.
Yeah, that I would like to hash that one over a little bit more at some point. Just
Okay,
that part of it.
we're not moving this one yet anyway.
Okay.
But we'll take that, we'll look back at that as to what's up.
So in
What
these
size?
changes we made back in August where we looked at solar in all the other districts, we put in there that CUPs generally are required if you're over 10 kilowatts in size, because that was typically the size that would power a decent size house. So if somebody wanted to build a solar facility that was 2 megawatts, they don't have to automatically do a rezone to that I2. They could apply for a CUP in a different district because the wording says solar and wind energy systems greater than 10 kilowatts in size. in the other zoning districts.
Okay,
Okay,
So somebody could be in, yeah, so if
yeah.
they wanted to, they don't have to do a rezone to be solar over 1 megawatts to the I2.
yeah, one of the things that's not legal in Wisconsin yet, but they were talking about changing it, was like that community-based system where a small community could have its own, which would be bigger than an individual house, but you wouldn't want that to be necessarily industrial if it was for a small community. As long as we can still accommodate that, we're
yeah,
fine.
so there's an allowance elsewhere for conditioners. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's to put or a number here where you had to do, if you're gonna do a really mega solar collecting thing, you need to be in this.
And we could change that number, you know, I just put numbers in there to have discussions about.
Right,
But I do have the roughly the acre size in the parentheses there, so you can see roughly the size.
yeah. Well, I think this is, again, this is just one thing. And kind of, in a way, the state was attempting to adopt legislation regarding data centers and didn't in the last session. And but if they would have passed at least one of the versions they had, it would have been fairly similar to what we were talking about, but I'd sort of like to see what they might be going to do too at the same time. And it reminds me of solar or wind or all that stuff where they preempt us above a certain size anyway. So we're trying to be, you know, and ag also where they do that. So it'd be nice to be able to kind of be ahead of the curve for a change. So anyway, anybody have anything else about this for now? Otherwise, we'll keep this one on the back burner for now while we digest it.
So you don't wanna schedule a public hearing for this one yet for like July?
I think not yet.
Okay.
I think we want to digest this one a little
Okay.
more and think about it a little bit more.
I agree.
Because it's, I don't see it being real urgent because of the nature of it. But I think what our strategy here is, by the way, not just ours, but the city of Menominee did very same thing. They had a data center proposed. They had a lot of opposition to it. They withdrew the request and hired a consultant and came up with virtually the same thing we already thought of here too. But he was the same guy who did our ag amendments. So I accused him of stealing it from us, but I can't prove it. Right? Anyway. So let's continue to think about it, but be ready to move it reasonably soon. See, that's the same resolution again. So on to reports.
Let's see here, let me open that. So my staff reports are in there, what staff have been working on, budget report, nothing's out of line at this point in the year. What do we got for permit numbers? We're at what, 27 new dwellings so far this year. We had 29 at this point last year, so you know, things are pretty much tracking about the same. Yeah, everybody's busy. So,
Yeah, they seem to be going about quite a bit. Any future agenda items other than this?
I don't have a specific thing to put on the agenda, but just a question for Jason. What is your biggest need? I mean, are there things that we should, well, I know, I mean, because it's like, you know, we've talked enforcement, I mean, tracking, is there something that we should be concentrating on that would lessen your load? I mean, a wish list, it's like, we can say there's not money for this, but if we don't know what the issues are, we can't be creative about it.
yeah, I could put together a wish list.
I'd like to
For,
see a wish list.
especially if budgeting is gonna be starting, what, 2 months probably.
Yeah.
I could put together a little list of things, but
Cause if there's creative ways that maybe could make your job easier within the confines of what we have available.
Yeah, the permit numbers keep inching upward every year. So we're getting back up towards the numbers we used to have before the big bubble popped.
And next month, let me see just how many public hearings we have real quick here. Uh, seven public hearings next month, so,
Should be pretty busy.
yep. One of them being the village overlay thing, so,
That one's gonna be,
yeah.
a couple of these today were redos really, things we'd already dealt with, so they were pretty easy. But you'll sooner or later get you a real contentious, controversial one and then you can get your feet wet.
So asking the dumb questions again. So is there, I don't know, like a vision statement or whatever for this group? Have we identified things that we welcome, like business wise or I don't know?
That more falls into the comprehensive plan side of it.
Sure.
The planning process is what envisions what the future will be. And then, but in order for a plan to actually be, a plan is not a ordinance.
Sure.
It's guidance. So any, let's call it enforcement or compliance, kind of falls to here. So,
I need to go read that.
yeah, it's, it's this thick, but you can kind of skim it.
Is there per se a job description for this committee? I mean, it's kind of like, this is what this committee is.
Well, in
charged
the
with.
board rules, operating rules, there's a statement, I don't know, it's probably just oversight of what departments you're overseeing. It doesn't go into great detail. None of the descriptions, I don't think, for the committees go in any sort of great detail. They just talk about what departments they have oversight of.
That would be a quick review because it's like when you're assigned to a committee, unless you dig for it, I don't think it says this is what you know.
Every so often, and I don't know if there's anything going on, but we stay alert to, there's some training sessions that are put out by UW Stevens Point. And they have a Center for Land Use Education there that provides some of that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, I'm just curious if, like in the comprehensive plan, does it at a high level, does it kind of favor lot sizes and things like that, or is it?
It talks about all sorts of that stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
But it's all over the board.
sure.
There are townships that don't want anything less than 10 acres created. And then there's other ones that want all small lots, so I
And
mean,
I'm
it's,
sure there's differences of opinion in here, right? That are,
I think.
like, me personally, I don't like X. Like, to me, the thought of a solar farm, it's not very appealing to me. But I don't know.
The training that our chairman just referred to from the Center for the Land Use Education, which is in Stevens Point, and they come out and do these. Those training sessions are very helpful in
Sure.
us to understand what we should do, and then also what the state tells us we need to do, and to stay out of trouble and to do the right thing for.
and when those classes, when they have them near us, I send it out to all the committee members to say, hey, there's a class coming up.
There's one coming up end of the month in Hayward. It's either the 20th.
Yeah, the 21st for the new supervisors.
Oh, yeah, that's not specific to land use, though, that's your general,
But
where
that's
they
still,
talk about everything county board.
but that,
Yes.
there's still nothing, that'll cover some land use and
Oh,
some
yeah.
generally what your role is as a county board supervisor, that's good.
Yes.
Always, there's no such thing as bad training.
Oh, yeah.
Some is just better than others.
It just doesn't go into the depth of where going to the land
There is
use
another-
training would be.
There's two of them. One is just the intro to being a supervisor, and then there's that one that's all day long with different sections. That's coming up, I think, at the end of the month, too, that's why I said 21st or 27th, those two events are in there, so, I think where we could get that information. Wanda might have it.
Yeah, I hadn't looked at it myself, but
Seems to me that one was scheduled when we have the county board meeting.
Yeah,
The
the
backup.
one's a conflict on Thursday.
The alternate was in Eau Claire, and that would be the one that,
Yeah, that's not too bad.
yeah.
And I'll just throw it out there. I'm not anti-solar, so I don't make enemies day one here, but I just think like a parking lot, great, put solar over that, right?
Well-
Great use of the land, but to make forest or farmland into a solar plant doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
no, that's a big issue, and especially converting ag land. You know, prime ag land is something that people are really concerned about. The one we've only had a couple, but Northwest Electric wanted to do a quite small one, I think 14 acres. Right on 40 acres they owned in Webb Lake next to a substation to try, because they were having brownout issues or supply issues there. And their peak was summer during the daytime, right?
Right.
So but they had opposition from the town on that, and they ultimately withdrew it. They didn't do it.
Sure.
But their only other choice was to purchase power off the grid, you know. And so this was the kind of solar that you can kind of be sympathetic to because it fills a real specific need and doesn't take up much space.
Sure.
It was already cleared land.
Well, they owned it. It was 40 acres that they had a substation already on. So they didn't have to store it, and they just hook it right into their own substation.
Sure.
But they still had to go through us to do it. And while under the state law, this is one of those things I was talking about where some of our discretion is preempted. Under the state law, if the Northwest Electric was willing to fight it, they probably would have prevailed. You know,
Sure.
with the lawsuit the town filed to stop it, but they just didn't want to do that, so they didn't. You know, so I just give you that as an example of what the level of stuff we are going to see. I don't think we're going to see mammoth projects, and I think we'd be real concerned about them if we were.
One other learning question, then I'll shut up for the day. So like these places that had the cups for today that are like in Siren, how's that bounce up to the county level?
It's not in the village, it's
Not
just
in
in
the
the town
village.
of Siren.
Oh,
In the town of Siren. Yeah.
okay. So the villages only and then towns
Right.
are
Town-
defer to
villages-
the county?
Yep. So like the village of Grantsburg, nothing for the village of Grantsburg comes
Right.
here.
That's
Nothing
why
for
I
the-
was like,
Yep.
Yeah, but the town of Grantsburg is under county zoning.
The
okay,
town of Grantsburg, yeah, so
Not the
outside
town.
of the incorporated boundary, then it's under county. Same thing with the town and village of Siren.
Right, and the question he poses is really accurate when you think about it, because that's right on the outskirts of the village of Siren. You know, really close. You wouldn't know, without knowing where the boundaries of the village are, the one that we did was the big.
Yeah, you don't
storage
know
thing.
where you're changing from
It
town of
looks-
Siren to village of Siren when you're driving down the
No,
road.
it looks just the same, you
Yep.
know, so, yeah.
I'd rather enjoy the fact that we have in the village of Grantsburg, both the village hall, and then we also have the town hall, the
yeah.
town of
right,
Grantsburg.
yeah.
And that's kind of unique though.
Yeah.
Actually, not completely though. I think that Mina meets in Bedford.
Meenan and Oakland now, I think, are
In
in the
Webster.
village of Webster.
Yep.
you know.
Yes, they're right on Main Street.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, we try and keep that towny riffraff out of the village.
Careful. No, we appreciate our neighbors.
Yeah. So anyway, if we're good anymore, or save it for
Yeah,
next time,
I torture you enough
You
for
can-
today.
you can call and ask a question to any of us anytime you want. The only thing you can't do is talk about a particular public hearing
Sure.
off the, you know, between, believe it or not, two people talking about one have the effect to block, if we were 3 members short, 4 members in attendance, 2
Sure.
people could hang the motion and stop whatever it was. So you gotta be almost embarrassingly silly about not talking about pending business. And I give you that short lecture only so you don't accidentally say something sometime that you could be chastised for, but it's, you know, it's just, you know, open meeting law stuff is very fussy, and that's where some of the training they provide for you is really useful.
We serve the role as a judge individually. And as such, it just is a person, it's inappropriate for somebody to call our county judge and then try to sway the county judge into making a decision one way or another on a particular case.
But as far as just in general, what goes on around here, we can talk about that stuff, so. With that, motion to adjourn,
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
motion is made and seconded, all in favor, aye,
Aye.
we're adjourned.